All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. 2 years ago, when Mat Ishbia became the owner of the Phoenix Suns, he wanted to leave his stamp on this NBA franchise and he wanted to do it immediately. But all that Ishbia has done so far has been to create complete and utter chaos in the Valley of the Sun. The Suns have mortgaged their future in a way that will more than likely hamstring this franchise for the remainder of this decade. We saw the Suns give up numerous picks and players to get the likes of Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal to Phoenix. And we've also seen the Suns and Ishbia have a revolving door at the head coaching position, as Phoenix has had three different head coaches in the last 3 years. And two of these guys won NBA championships with other organizations. We've seen the Suns turn over the bulk of their roster, who just 4 years ago won the Western Conference. And the only really notable name still on the Suns roster since that time is Devin Booker. Okay. And for all of this change that we've seen the Suns, go through, for all of the coaches, for all of the players that have been brought in, the likes of KD and Brad Beal, they only have one series victory in the playoffs to show for that, as they got to the second round of the postseason back in 2023. But nonetheless, this year, Phoenix is going to miss the postseason entirely, and that includes the play-in. And with that said, as the Suns have been one of the biggest disappointments in NBA history, okay, you would have to imagine that some serious changes are in store for this franchise. First question that I'm asking is the first question that a lot of people are asking. Has Kevin Durant played his last game for the Suns? He still has a year on his deal. He's set to make more than $54 million next season. But how much trade value does a 36-year-old future Hall of Famer have at this point? I think he definitely has some. And I think the right deal to the right team could see him leave Phoenix, and hopefully they can get something back for him. Okay. Because I truly do think KD is done in Phoenix, in my opinion. All right. With that said, what trade value does Bradley Beal have? And of course, Beal is right there with Booker and KD as far as how much he's making. He's making 50 million this year, a little bit more than 50 million. He's scheduled to make more than 53 next season, and he has a player option for the following season at 57 million. But nonetheless, Brad Beal, and I said this at the time of the trade, Brad Beal was a big fish in a small pond with the Washington Wizards. Granted, theoretically, Washington is a bigger media market than Phoenix, but of course, nobody really expects anything out of the Washington Wizards. Expectations were very high for the Phoenix Suns team. And, Brad Beal put up numbers when it was all about Brad Beal in Washington and nobody cared. Now he's in the pressure cooker and he has come up short. Okay. So I'm bringing this up as far as KD, as far as Bradley Beal, and just simply saying, should the Suns be looking to, pull the plug on this big three and do a reset? And with that said, if you're Phoenix and you trade if you trade KD and you trade Brad Beal, okay, would you also trade Devin Booker? I mean, Devin Booker has been there for a long time, but I really wouldn't foresee a scenario where he, at this point of his career, would want to be a part of a rebuild. So if you're the Suns, do you tear this thing down completely and look to start over? Steve P, my man, what's going on? Happy Friday to you. And I hope that everything is going well in your neck of the woods, my brother. Plain and simple. Uh, you look at this, and this falls into the lap of Matt Ishbia. And the reason why I say it is this: would the Suns, after this disappointing year, would they be truly willing to wave the white flag in order to have themselves a fresh start. And I think for that to happen, the only way that that happens is if Matt Ishbia admits that he was wrong and he made a mistake. But would the billionaire be willing to do that? I say it like this, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Okay, and anybody out there, you don't doubt it, check it in the archive. If you do doubt it, rather, check it in the archives. This was not going to work. I said it when Kevin Durant with the Brooklyn, it wasn't going to work, and I said it now with Phoenix that it wasn't going to work. You had three guys that basically do the same thing on offense with Brad Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. This team has needed a point guard, and they simply have not had it. Okay, with that said, Matt Ishbia should really pay attention to what former Brooklyn Nets team owner Mikhail Prokhorov attempted to do well over 10 years ago. And his run at a microwave NBA championship fizzled. Okay, if you remember, Prokhorov, made the trade, or his front office made the trade to get Darren Williams from the Utah Jazz. Okay, then after that, we saw the Nets give up 3 first-round picks to get an aging Paul Pierce and an aging Kevin Garnett from the Boston Celtics. And Boston, they were in their rebuild process. They couldn't make that trade quick enough. Okay. The Nets, just like it is with KD and the Suns, never got past the second round of the playoffs. And the next thing you know, um, KD was done, or KG was done rather in Brooklyn. Same thing with Paul Pierce. And then the Nets are well on their way to being in the tank. Consecutive 60 loss seasons resulted in lottery picks. Those high picks fell into the lap because of the Boston Celtics, as they were now property of the Celtics. And it turned into Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. And of course, those two guys have been anchors for the Boston Celtics. And of course, they were anchors on the Celtics championship team of a year ago. And they're also a big reason why Boston is once again in contention. So at that point, the Nets had nothing to show for it. New ownership regime, same results. We saw the Nets several years ago push caution to the wind. They had a young team that they were developing. They said, you know what, screw it. Let's go out there and get KD in a sign and trade from the Warriors. Let's go out there and sign Kyrie Irving. The expectations changed, but the results remained the same. And guess what? The Nets once again find themselves in the middle of an attempted rebuild. What I'm trying to say is this: winning a championship takes time, but good luck telling that to this new breed of owners in the National Basketball Association. These are business people, not basketball people. And they're coming in with a mindset from the business world to say, hey, I want it and I want it yesterday. Don't work like that in the NBA. Okay. It's one of those where it takes time. You got to have patience. And a lot of these guys, like Ishbia, come in and feel, hey, if I can go out there and have me two, maybe three all-star players on my team, I can go out there and win a championship. Doesn't work like that. You have to have chemistry. You have to bring in the right people. You have to be patient. You have to constantly look to build. And it's not going to happen with a flick of the switch. This ain't NBA 2K. For some of you older guys out there, it ain't NBA Live. Okay. You can't just simply go out there, create a player, create a couple of players, make whatever trades that you want, have a team, and it results in a championship. This is not a video game. There's a reason why there's only one Larry O'Brien trophy handed out each June. It's not easy to attain. Okay. It's one of those where you look at it, and when you make moves like this, and you mortgage your future and they don't work, it's kind of equivalent, like I've talked about in the NFL when it comes to their draft. If you miss on that top 5 pick, if you miss on that top 10 pick, it really sets your franchise back. I think right now this is going to set the Suns back, and I truly do think it is time for them to pull the plug on this and hit the reset button. Why? Because you're not going anywhere with this. You figure in this expanded postseason, and I know that they don't want to count the play in as postseason, but it's postseason. Okay. So 10 of the 15 teams in each respective conference. 20 of the 30 teams from the NBA are playing some form of postseason basketball. That's 66% of the league. The Suns were not good enough to be a top 10 team in the Western Conference. They're not even going to win 40 games this year. Okay, that's how big of a disappointment that this has been. Now, if you're Matt Ishbia, you can't just simply sit up there and keep switching coaches and think it's going to happen. At some point, this train wreck has to fall into the lap of the players. And I think if you're Matt Ishbia, you got to sit back and say, hey, you know what? I screwed up. It ain't getting done like this. And I truly do think the Suns need to start over. I think they need to trade KD and get some picks and young players back. I think they need to trade Brad Beal and get some picks and young players back. I think they need to trade Devin Booker and get some young players and some picks back. Yes, nobody's going to show up to your games, but nobody's going to show up and boo either if there's the expectations are low once again. You look at it like this: from 2010 to 2021, there were no playoffs for the Phoenix Suns. Okay. They were a train wreck of a franchise, constant turnover at the head coaching position, constant turnover in the front office, constant missing on their first round picks. They finally hit it on the head with Devin Booker. And of course, it wasn't until they got a veteran point guard to set up Devin Booker and others and one Chris Paul where things started to turn around. And of course, we saw where the magic, if you will, that Monty Williams was able to do for the Phoenix Suns. I thought he was a perfect coach for that team. Didn't work out for him, of course, in Detroit with the Pistons, but nonetheless, I thought he was perfect for that team. And Ishbia came in and pulled the plug on that. I think at this point, you just need to cut your losses, try to get some draft capital back, try to get some young players back, and just simply say, hey, you know what? We're going to suck for a couple of years, but let's just sit up there and try to finally figure this out. Finally, try to go out there and build this thing properly. You can go out there and try to build a building real quick and try to finish 6 to 9 weeks ahead of schedule. Law of averages, guess what? You're going to have issues with that building because more than likely you cut corners to try to get it up so quickly to get those bonuses. Same thing with an NBA franchise. You cannot build a championship team quick. Okay. Even as great as a player that LeBron James is, every time he went to a new team, he didn't win his first year. It still takes time to get that right chemistry, to get those pieces. And it's one of those, again, this microwave NBA championship theory ain't happening. Okay. So I'm looking at the Suns like this. It comes down to the ego of Ishbia. Is he going to pull the plug on this? Or is he going to simply go out there and keep attempting to fight a losing battle? Because guess what? This time next season, KD is going to be a year older, as is Brad Beal, two guys who have shown that they cannot consistently stay healthy in recent years. So, what makes you think that you're going to be any closer to a championship then? This has been a train wreck from the word go in Phoenix. And at the end of the day, there needs some semblance of order, some common sense has to kick in, and hopefully, for their sake, they do. I'm just sitting back and waiting to see what the Suns do. Hopefully, the common sense kicks in, but at the same time, I ain't holding my breath on it. But folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. I guarantee you it is greatly appreciated. Steve P, my good man, as always, it was a pleasure. And I hope you enjoy your weekend. I know the baseball team that you love and adore and you're rooting for right now. I'll tell you like this: don't pay attention to the scoreboard, at least for tonight. But I will say it's still early, my man. That's the bottom line. But folks, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365, and you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. And also, if you're on the IG, Instagram. You could check me out at 300 pounds of sports knowledge. And on this day, want to take the time out before I sign off to give a very special shout out for the evening, and that is to 150 pounds of sports knowledge. You've given me tremendous 21 years. You've also given me two wonderful children. And I want to take this time out to thank you and acknowledge you for everything that you do. And once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.